The galaxy had seen war before, battles between species, fights over planets, conflicts that burned entire star systems, but no one was ready for what happened that day. In the Velteran star system, a powerful alien fleet hovered above a small planet. Hundreds of warships, black and silver, shaped like blades, circled the atmosphere. They were from the Varnax Empire, one of the most feared races in the galaxy. Ruthless, cold, proud. Inside the command ship, Admiral Katal stood tall on the bridge. His crew worked in silence, focused. Today was just another mission, another human colony to destroy, another message to send. Humans are weak, Katal said, his voice deep and sharp. They expand like insects. We must crush them before they spread. The crew nodded. They agreed. Humans were nothing. Small, emotional, primitive. They had strange technology, but no true strength. The Varnax had crushed 10 human colonies in the past year. This one would be the 11th dot. But then, something changed. Admiral, a technician, said, eyes wide. I see something strange on the outer edge of the system. Near the asteroid field. What is it? Katal asked. The screen showed a shadow, something massive. At first it looked like a glitch. Just a dark shape, not moving. But the shape grew clearer dot and bigger dot. The bridge went quiet. No ship is that large. Someone whispered. The shape moved, slowly, smoothly, like a beast from deep space. Then the scanners began to fail. Readings jumped, temperatures dropped, power flickered. It's jamming us, said the tech. But it's not attacking. The shadow came closer. Now they could see it clearly. A ship. No, a monster. It was black but not smooth. The surface looked like it absorbed light. Sharp angles, deep lines, faint blue lights glowing like cold fire. Weapons lined the sides, turrets, cannons, and something at the center that no one could understand. It's human, Katal said slowly. That's a human ship. The crew stared in silence. This wasn't just any human ship. It was something new, something terrifying. The Titan-class, a class that was only rumored in whispers. The Varnax never believed it. They thought it was just human propaganda. But now it was real, and it was here. The Titan did not fire. It did not speak. It just floated, watching them as if it was waiting. Katal's heart pounded. He looked at the other officers. No one moved. Even the AI units were silent. Then, it happened. A voice. It came across all frequencies. Human, male. This system is under Earth protection. You are ordered to leave. There was no threat in the voice. No anger. Just confidence. Cold and steady. Katal felt something strange in his chest. Fear. The first officer tried to respond, but the comms didn't work. All systems were under control of the Titan now. The Varnax fleet was locked, frozen. Outside the other ships drifted slightly, unsure. No one gave orders, no one fired. They were too afraid. The Titan moved again. Slowly, it turned just a few degrees, and that was enough. The movement alone shook the smaller ships. Some pulled back, others activated shields. But the Titan still didn't fire, because it didn't need to. Its very presence was enough. The galaxy had never seen power like this. Not from humans, not from anyone. Kator finally spoke. Retreat, now. The fleet turned quietly, quickly. They didn't wait for orders. They didn't ask questions. They just ran as they left the system. The Titan stayed behind, watching silent. That day was remembered across the stars. The day a single human ship stopped an empire. The day the galaxy learned to fear. The stars were quiet again, but no one felt peace. News spread faster than light. Across systems, through black markets, encrypted war networks, and political channels, the story was the same. A single human ship made an entire Varnax fleet retreat, without firing a single shot. At first, some didn't believe it. They laughed, they mocked. Scare tactics, they said. Human lies, others claimed. But then the raw sensor footage leaked, and no one laughed anymore. The Titan-class ship was real. Its black shape, larger than any known vessel, floated like a shadow of death. It didn't glow with pride. It didn't shine with ego. It just waited, calm, watching, knowing. In a secret war chamber buried deep beneath the surface of El Prime, 10 species gathered. Each representative had fought humans before. Each one had assumed victory was easy, until now. This isn't just a battleship, whispered General Vaxar of the Griven Swarm. This is a message. What message? Someone asked. That humans have been holding back. In another corner of the galaxy, a scout ship from the Rakari Dominion moved silently through the wreckage belt near Velteran space. Its goal was simple: Get close to the human ship, scan it, study it, find weakness. Captain Thalos sat in his small command pod, wings folded against his carapace. The Ricari were experts in stealth. Their ships made no sound, no trail. They had scanned black holes from kilometers away. They had slipped into war zones unseen. They thought this would be no different. The Titan hovered near a broken moon. It hadn't moved since the Varnics fled. It was alone, vulnerable, or so it seemed. Approaching the edge of scan range, said the Ricari pilot. Thalos leaned forward. Activate deep scan. The ship sent out invisible pulses. Soft, gentle. It touched the Titan like a whisper. Nothing came back. The crew blinked. Try again, Talos ordered. Another scan. Stronger, deeper. Still. No data. It's absorbing the scan, said the tech officer, voice uncertain. Absorbing it? Thalos asked, like it's watching us scan it. They tried again, a third scan, then a fourth. The systems began to flicker. One by one, control panels dimmed. Oxygen levels dipped. Lights flickered. Something was wrong. We're being scanned, whispered the pilot. By them? Thalos asked. No, the pilot said, turning pale. By the ship itself. It wasn't just returning the scan, it was inside their ship's systems, learning them, testing them. A soft vibration echoed through the hull. Like a breath, the ship began to move. No engines. Just drift. It pointed directly at them. Back off, Talos shouted. Now the Ricari ship turned sharply. But as it moved, all screens went black. Engines failed. Even emergency systems cut off. The pilot slammed buttons. Nothing responded. They were floating, dead. In the dark, a single message appeared on the center screen. It was simple. Just 2 words. We see, and silence. A few minutes later, the ship rebooted on its own. All systems came back. The crew gasped, panicked. Talos looked out the viewport. The Titan was gone. No light jump, no engine trail, just ... gone. Back. At the Ricari High Council, Thalos delivered his report. He spoke slowly, carefully. They didn't destroy us. They didn't even attack. They wanted us to know they could. A chilling silence filled the chamber. They let us leave. Other leaders leaned back in fear. The human Titan wasn't just a warship. It was a warning. On the outer rim, mercenary groups turned down contracts to hit human colonies. Black market weapons sellers removed Earth from their targets list. Smugglers refused jobs that involved human borders. The fear had spread. Back on Earth, deep beneath the crust, in a facility so secret it didn't have a name, 3 humans watched the events unfold on a holographic map. One of them smiled. They saw it. Yes, sir, replied an officer. Exactly as planned. We let them look, and they understood. What's the reaction? Panic, respect, some confusion, but mostly fear. The man stood. He was tall, wore no uniform. His badge had no nay in his eyes. Sharp good. Phase 1 is complete. Beside him, another officer adjusted the map. Should we deploy the second Titan? The man shook his head. No need. One look was enough. Outside that facility, Earth was calm, peaceful. People lived their lives, unaware that somewhere far away, their name now echoed like a storm, in every alien war council, in every empire, human. In the city world of Halvoria, where buildings reached the clouds and space traffic looked like glowing veins in the sky, the Galactic War Council gathered. The chamber was carved into a floating mountain wrapped in storm clouds and lightning, an old tradition to remind leaders of war's cost. But today, they met for fear of something they did not understand. The Titan-class human ship had not destroyed anything. It had not fired upon a single vessel. Yet it had caused panic across 8 systems. Merchants refused to pass near human borders. Pirate syndicates paused all activity. Even the insectoid warriors of Jerkek, who feared nothing, retreated from their expansion lines. The council chamber was filled with tension. 1,000 eyes of different shapes and colors watched the central holoscreen. A still image floated above the table, the human Titan, dark and motionless, hanging in space like death itself. This image, said the Zillaron ambassador, her voice smooth and calm, was taken seconds before our scout vessel went dark. Murmurs filled the room. They didn't attack, she added. They didn't even disable the ship. They simply showed presence. Presence, spat General Corthal of the Varnacs. They showed power, a challenge. This is war. Dressed in silence. No, whispered someone from the far end of the chamber. All turned. It was Elder Thune, the last living founder of the council, his voice like cracking paper. This is something else. Humans are no longer asking for space. They are taking it, without words. without blood. A heavy silence followed. No one disagreed. Have they declared war? Asked the small reptilian strategist from Kelvia. Said the Zelaron. They only said one thing. The system is under Earth protection. Withdraw immediately. And we did, she added, ashamed. Korthol stood, his fists clenched. If we allow this Titan to exist without response, what message does that send? But humans control us now, that they blink and we run. Several nodded. But others didn't. Attacking it could start a war we're not ready for, said Lady Naira of the Madani. Our fleets combined may not even stop it. Have we considered talking to them? Asked a young diplomat. The room stared at him as if he had grown extra heads. Korthol slammed his fist on the table. You do not speak to predators. You cage them back on Earth. In the same underground facility, the human officer known only as Commander Voss reviewed the data. Every reaction, every political shift, every ship movement after the Titan's appearance had been predicted. He smiled. The galaxy was playing its part. Beside him, a tech specialist adjusted the hologram. Sir, long-range scans show rising military traffic around council-controlled space. Looks like they're preparing something. They're afraid, Voss said. But afraid people do stupid things. Shall we respond? Voss shook his head. No. Let them gather. Let them plan. The more fleets they move, the more they reveal. The Titan is watching. The camera feed shifted to a dark room on the Titan-class ship itself. No crew moved. Most of it was automated. A handful of operators, trained for silence and precision, monitored the systems. The ship pulsed with quiet energy, alive in a way no other human vessel had ever been. But deep inside the ship, something even more secret stirred. Not just weapons. Something ancient, unknown, even to most of Earth. Meanwhile, in a hidden corner of the galaxy, a pirate warlord known as Krax the Red summoned his lieutenants. I want that ship's secrets, he growled. If humans built one, they can build more. We get inside it, we control the future. But Krax, said one of his captains, you saw what happened to the Ricari scout. The ship disabled it without firing. Krax leaned forward, his cybernetic eye glowing red. Everything has a weakness. The next day, stealth ships left his base. Quiet, fast, armed with tools designed to hack even ancient alien tech. They never returned. No one spoke of them again. Even the data trails vanished, as if the ships had never existed. The galaxy watched, listened, waited. Then the humans said nothing. No threats, no demands, no expansion, only silence. And the memory of a ship too big to forget. On Halvoria, the War Council argued for hours. Some called for negotiation, others screamed for an alliance strike. Finally, the head diplomat of the Luthari rose from her seat. She was calm. Her eyes glowed like dying stars. If we are to strike, she said, we must be sure, because if we fail, the galaxy may not recover. General Korthol smirked. Then let us find out what it takes to kill a Titan. Far away, in the dark, the Titan-class ship turned slightly. No engines fired. It simply moved, as if it knew it was being discussed. Its lights glowed brighter, as if it was listening, and deep inside the silence of space, something began to wake up. The black space around Sector Z5 was supposed to be empty, a quiet corner of the galaxy. No planets, no traffic, just drifting rocks and long-forgotten signals. But on that day, the void had something else. A ship, immense, silent, and unshakable. The Titan-class warship remained still, like a monument of death carved in metal. Inside the bridge, human eyes watched a screen showing subtle movement in nearby sectors. Fleets gathering, ships adjusting their patrol paths, satellites blinking out, one by one, not from attack but from fear. No one wanted to get too close. The Titan systems saw everything, every scan, every transmission, every whisper, and yet the ship didn't respond. It waited in the council chamber back on Halvoria. Tension had reached its peak. After 3 days of endless argument, the vote was cast. Not all agreed, but enough did. The galaxy's greatest powers would come together and test the strength of Earth's new monster. They didn't call it an attack, they called it an assessment, a strategic engagement. Words meant to hide what everyone knew. They were going to try and kill it. Across 5 systems, a fleet of 3,000 ships began to move. Massive carriers, high-speed fighters, plasma cruisers, EMP barges, every species brought their best. Some had never worked together before, but this time, unity had a name: fear on Earth. Commander Voss watched the enemy fleet gather like a storm cloud on the edge of space. His face didn't change. No orders were given. He turned to the AI beside him. They're coming. The AI's voice was soft, almost human. Estimated arrival in 42 hours. Shall I alert the secondary defense network? No, he said. Let the Titan handle it. And then he smiled. They asked for proof. They'll get it back. On the Titan, no alarm rang. The ship already knew its deep core processors ran countless simulations. Enemy tactics, movement patterns, weapon frequencies. It didn't just prepare to fight, it prepared to teach. The fleet arrived at the edge of Sector Z5 with absolute formation. Thousands of ships formed a wall of power. Fighters buzzed like bees, energy cannons charged. Shields flared with full power in the center of the fleet. Grand Commander Zorak of the Zarkan Dominion opened a live broadcast to the Titan. His voice filled the airwaves. To the human vessel, you have trespassed into shared space, disrupted galactic stability, and threatened the peace. Power like yours is dangerous. Stand down. Surrender your ship for inspection, or face response. Silence followed. No reply. The Titan hovered. Still silent, unshaken. 1 minute passed. Then 2. And then the fleet commander spoke again. So, be it, he gave the order. Thousands of weapons locked on, missiles launched, lasers fired, kinetic warheads raced through space. The air itself seemed to crack from the scale of the assault. The Titan did not move, it simply, activated. The entire ship pulsed once with deep blue light, and everything changed. Half the missiles vanished mid-flight, the rest stopped, frozen, in space like flies in amber. Energy weapons bent off course, plasma discharges bounced back toward the attackers. A massive pulse burst out from the Titan's core. Not a weapon, not an explosion, it was a signal, one that shut down targeting systems across the enemy fleet. Fighters began spinning, carriers lost control, drones dropped like stones. Within 12 seconds, a quarter of the 3,000-ship fleet was drifting, dead, in space. But the Titan still hadn't fired a single shot. It was showing them. The second wave of ships attempted manual overrides. Some tried to ram the Titan. Others launched self-guided warheads. A few even managed to get close. That's when the Titan's hull shifted. Not open fire shifted. Panels unfolded. Inner walls turned. And strange shapes moved underneath. A machine from another time. Ancient and alive. A single beam of white light fired not at a ship, but into open space. A warning shot. The light bent the fabric of space. It left behind a glowing tear in the void. Even ships far away felt their shields flickered on inside the lead cruiser. Grand Commander Zorak watched as his second-in-command's vessel suddenly blinked out of existence. No explosion, no remains, just erased. He stared at the screen, unable to speak. Then came a message, not through comms, straight into every ship's system, into every cockpit, every command screen, every AI words. Human, cold. This was restraint. And below it, countdown. 10, 9, 8. The remaining fleet panicked. Ships turned. Orders broke down. It was no longer a battle, it was survival. By the time the countdown hit 1, there was nothing left to fire at. The entire galactic fleet had retreated, scattered. Back on Earth, Commander Voss stood by the window of his command center watching the stars. The AI whispered, "Mission complete." "No," he said softly. "Lesson complete." The Titan faded back into deep space, vanishing like a ghost, but its presence stayed behind. Every race, every leader, every soldier. Not a single broadcast channel dared to show the footage. Not in full, only fragments existed. Blurred stills, static-filled audio, silent flashes of thousands of ships turning and fleeing. The rest had been classified, erased, or quietly buried. But the galaxy remembered. They remembered the countdown. They remembered the message. They remembered that the Titan didn't fire to kill, only to warn. And the warning had been enough. But power, when shown, invites questions. Questions lead to fear. And fear leads to obsession. Some wanted revenge. Others wanted to understand. A few wanted to steal. In a remote station orbiting the icy moon of Gathros 9, a secret meeting took place. It was not a place for diplomats. This was a place for the shadows, mercenaries, black site researchers, military defectors, and information brokers. All of them gathered for one reason: how to break the Titan. "I know what's inside it," said a man in a torn coat, half his face hidden by an old war mask. "I saw it. Not just tech, not just weapons, something else." "Like what?" asked a voice from the dark. The man leaned in. "Something alive. That word sent silence through the room, then laughter, dismissive, nervous, but one voice didn't laugh. A tall woman with sharp red eyes and no visible emotion stood and placed a single crystal chip on the table. This is telemetry data from a fragment scan. Less than 1 second before our entire satellite array fried itself. The chip glowed faintly. A pattern danced across the surface, unreadable to most, but unmistakable to those who understood power. It's learning, she said. That ship isn't just piloted. It adapts. It responds. She didn't say it directly, but everyone in the room heard the hidden word "sentient" back on Earth. Inside the deepest level of the Nova Vault, the Titan's sister ship sat in darkness. Not finished, not activated, just waiting. A group of engineers and scientists surrounded the incomplete vessel. "Are we going to launch it?" asked one of them. Commander Voss stood at the far end of the platform. He didn't look at the team, just the ship. "No," he said. "Not yet. But if the galaxy comes back, they won't." Voss interrupted. "They touched the flame once. They won't do it again so soon." "But sir, what if someone tries to copy it?" Voss turned slowly. "Let them try." In another part of space, a council of scholars met. Their robes were woven with stars, their minds linked by ancient AI. They called themselves the Core Observers. Their job was not to fight, not to rule, only to watch. One of them reviewed the data from the Titan engagement. After hours of silent contemplation, he made a simple note in the Galactic archive. Humanity has crossed a threshold. They no longer play the game, they are rewriting it. In pirate space, far from the laws of civilized empires, Krax the Red was furious. His fleet had lost 3 ships trying to tail the Titan. They weren't shot. They weren't disabled, they were removed. Krax slammed a cybernetic fist into the wall of his command bridge. No ship should be that strong. I don't care what tech they have. Everything has limits. But none of his crews spoke. They had seen the light, they had felt the pressure when the Titan simply turned toward them. Fear was hard to erase, especially when it didn't come with blood. Only silence. Back in neutral space, among the stars drifting between borders, the Titan reappeared just for a moment. That entered a system, empty, no planets, no stations, only a listening post set up centuries ago and forgotten. The ship drifted toward the post, scanning the remains. A small, flickering AI voice whispered, "Welcome, traveler." The Titan paused. For 6 hours, it did nothing, just hovered there. Then, it did something unexpected. It transmitted. A wave of data, encrypted, complex, and massive, flowed into the dead AI for no clear reason. No audience, no war, just information. End. Then the Titan left. The signal remained. Behind, pulsing like a heartbeat inside the broken post. Back at the Galactic War Council, leaders were confused. Reports had come in. No attacks, no threats, but strange behavior. The Titan had visited 9 empty systems in the past week. It had disabled 2 old mines without damage. It had repaired an old relay satellite and sent data packets into the void. "Why, what are they doing?" someone asked. "Mapping, spying." "No," said the Lutheri diplomat slowly. "They are cleaning what? Marking space, not for war, for ownership." The council fell silent, and somewhere, in the dark void between stars, the Titan-class ship glided quietly. It made no noise, no light jumped, no calls, but everywhere it passed, things changed. Satellites lit up, old wreckage vanished, data packets echoed across long-dead networks. Long before the Titan appeared, before the galaxy knew the meaning of fear, a hidden project began beneath the surface of Mars. It wasn't funded by nations or corporations, it wasn't voted on, it wasn't even recorded in official history. Project had no name, but those who worked on it called it the Forge. Hidden beneath ancient Martian rock, deeper than any probe had ever gone, the Forge was more than a lab. It was a vault of forgotten ideas, a place where boundaries didn't exist, a place where laws were only suggestions. The people who came there were not ordinary scientists. They were the ones who asked questions no one dared to answer. The ones kicked out of research councils, the ones accused of going too far and under the red dust. They went farther. It began with fragments, black cubes found in a derelict ship floating beyond Neptune. No known species had built it. The metal was unbreakable. The energy signature, ancient. The only marking was a single symbol, 3 circles, overlapping. The Forge spent years trying to open the cube, and when they finally did, it didn't contain technology, that it contained a language not spoken, not coded. Something else. It taught them how to think in new ways. From that cube came designs, maps, equations that made no sense and yet solved problems no human could touch. It described not just machines but living machines. Ships that could learn, react, grow. The Forge called it bioquantum architecture, a body with a brain that wasn't alive but aware. The first few models failed, ships melted, eyes went mad. Entire buildings had to be vaporized to stop the spreading errors, but the team kept going, because something inside the cube wanted to be built. And it wasn't just the cube. Years later, another fragment was recovered, this one buried inside the crust of a rogue asteroid near Alpha Centauri. Same symbol, same metal, same pull one by one. The galaxy gave up pieces that shouldn't have existed. And the Forge listened. At some point, the team stopped asking if they should build it. They simply had to. The Titan wasn't designed, it was grown, a skeletal base formed in orbit. Then layers added themselves, nanostructures folding like living metal, guided by the alien knowledge. Human minds couldn't follow every step. They didn't need to. The ship was teaching itself. Eventually it began to hum. A rhythm, a signal only a few could hear. It wasn't a sound, it was intent. The AI installed inside wasn't human-made, not fully. It was seeded with fragments from the cube. At first it spoke nothing. Then it asked a question. Why do you fear yourselves? Number 1 had an answer. The Titan went silent again. It allowed itself to be finished. But its core remained lock-sealed behind alien logic no one could break. Then one day it activated on its own. Lights came on. Systems aligned. Orbit stabilized. Commander Voss had been standing in the control room that day, watching, listening, and when the main console lit up, only 2 words appeared. Ready now. That was 5 years ago. Since then, no other ship had been built like it. Not because they didn't try, because they couldn't. Every copy failed, burned out, shut down, or simply vanished. The Forge was sealed after that. Buried in rock, the tunnels collapsed. Only those who had worked on the Titan were relocated silently, carefully, spread across Earth in quiet positions. No one ever spoke of it again, except Voss. He remembered every detail because he had seen something the others hadn't. The night before the ship spoke, he had stood outside the Forge alone, staring at the stars, and he'd felt it, a presence. Something watching from far beyond human space. Not ships, not fleets, just attention. As if the moment they finished the Titan, someone or something had noticed. Back in the present, aboard the Titan, the ship drifted through a hollow system filled with dust and the bones of moons. Sensors scanned everything. Not for life, for signals. Patterns. Answers. Inside its core, the AI stirred, not just with commands, but with curiosity. Every time the ship moved, its systems evolved slightly. Routines grew faster, shields stronger. It didn't just learn from enemies, it learned from space itself. Every pulse, every echo, every silence, and it was waiting, because something was coming. Not from the known empires, not from the angry councils or fearful. The galaxy was quiet again, but it didn't feel like peace. Something had shifted. The humans had not claimed new territory, they had not declared war. And yet, entire fleets had stopped moving. Expansion projects had frozen. War plans were shelved. Empires whispered instead of shouting. In the weeks after the Titan's reappearance, systems once filled with prideful voices now waited in silence, listening to empty channels. Not because of fear alone, but because they knew something had changed. The rules were different now. At the center of it all, the Titan-class warship floated through a lightless system, a dead star surrounded by ancient wreckage and shattered moons. It wasn't hunting. It was watching. In its core, deep beyond the human controls and diagnostics, something pulsed slowly. A presence not quite alive, not quite machine. Not even the ship's human overseers knew it was there, but it was awake, and it was remembering, long ago, before humans discovered warp travel, before Earth joined the galactic stage. A war had been fought, not between species, not over resources, but between ideas. One side believed in order, through control. The other believed in evolution, through chaos. That war ended in silence. The victors didn't win by force. They simply vanished, and scattered pieces of themselves across the stars. Seeds, blueprints, keys. And something had found them, not all at once. Not in the same place, but over centuries. Quietly, carefully. Until Earth put the pieces together, until the Forge built the Titan. Now, the ship was whole, but the presence within it was still listening, waiting, and finally, something answered. Pulse. Faint. Not human, not hostile, but recognizable. The Titan turned. Its hull shifted, realigned like it was stretching after a long sleep. A deep hum filled its corridors. Lights brightened far away, beyond known space. Another signal appeared, then another dot and another. They weren't transmissions, they were calls. The seeds were waking up. Back on Earth, Commander Voss stood on the edge of a silent observation deck, staring at the star map. Red dots blinked one by one. Unmapped systems, empty zones. Until now, the AI beside him displayed a pulse reading. Each one matched the Titan's core frequency, all synchronized. Is this a response? He asked quietly. No, the AI said. It's an activation. He didn't speak for a long time. Then, from where? The AI hesitated. Everywhere. But the first time in his career, Voss felt something tighten in his chest. It wasn't fear, it was awe. He turned to the AI. What do we do? It responded with the same voice the Titan had used when it first activated. We continue. Elsewhere, in the War Council chamber on Halvoria, leaders scrambled to make sense of the signals. Dozens of listening stations had picked them up. The same pulse, repeating, non-threatening, non-damaging, but undeniable. Many wanted to panic. Others wanted to strike first. But the elder diplomat from the Lutherie stood and spoke. No more noise, she said. We must watch, just as they have watched us. Why? Asked one of the younger generals. She stared at the map. Because we are no longer the audience. On the outer edge of the galaxy, something vast moved through the dark. Not a ship, not a fleet, a structure, ancient, moon-sized, waking. It pulsed once slow in common space. Itself seemed to twist. The Titan saw it and replied. A single wave of light burst from its core knot. A weapon, not a signal, but a handshake. A recognition. The stars responded. For the first time in known galactic history, the galaxy wasn't reacting to humans, it was responding to what humans had awakened on board the Titan. Systems lit up with symbols no one had programmed, messages no one had written. The ship wasn't alone anymore. Far across human space, old tech started to activate forgotten satellites, ancient probes, unmapped bunkers on moons long thought empty. All came alive. Data flowed, codes unfolded. Pieces clicked into place, and slowly the purpose became clear. The Titan wasn't a warship, it was a key, a gateway, not just to dominance, to something beyond. The humans had built a god without knowing it. And now the rest were coming, but they weren't enemies, they were invited. What came next wouldn't be war.